Welcome back to the Winter Wolf's Den, guys. Winter Wolf here, back at you after taking 2 weeks off for switching up his day job. We're gonna jump right into Resident Evil, a new series on Netflix. Buckle up. This bullshit is Resident Evil in name only. They got zombies and a not really Albert Wesker character, but that's fucking it. The show is Resident Evil 90210, more like 9021 below, because it fucking blows. There's nothing to enjoy about this show. Very rare that I take nothing away from it. The storyline runs more double suck for your money. One, you're coming up with Albert Wesker's daughters in an umbrella company town in present day, and the other one is set about 15 years later in the 2030s after a T-virus outbreak. Present day stuff is the worst type of CW bullshit. People have compared it to Batwoman and Naomi. It struck me as being a little bit worse than both of those garbage shows. We've got feelings in the cafeteria, we got feelings talked about in the stairwells, by the pool, at parties, at the breakfast table, in the car. It's just teenage angst garbage start to finish in all of those episodes. None of it has anything to do with Resident Evil, and most of the time it grinds things completely to a fucking halt, and that includes after one of the two main leads is infected with the T-virus. In the 2030 storyline, it's a little bit better because you do get some zombie stuff going on in there from episode to episode, but it falls off a fucking cliff in the second half of the series with not a whole lot of zombie stuff going on between episodes 5 and 8 at all. The adult leads are still the dumbest fucking people alive in this segment. The story focuses on an all-grown-up Jade Wesker, previously one of the angsty teens from the present-day timeline. Apparently now she's a brilliant scientist despite showing zero aptitude for any of that before, and she's doing field work to better understand the zeros. Oh, that's zombies now. They're not zombies, they're zeros, I mean, because they can't be zombies. Because fuck you guys, it doesn't get to be zombies, I guess it's zeros. Fuck this show. Dude, the world building is paper thin and holds up to zero scrutiny. I mean, even superficial level scrutiny. It's like the writers didn't stop and take a day or two to sort out what the fuck the implications of a global pandemic that converted 6 billion people to zombies would actually look like. They had an opportunity to set up a walled city scenario like they had in World War Z, but instead we get people living in what they think is an infection-free zone, patrolled by Umbrella and some kind of government agencies, but somehow it also still has zombies and lickers and other mutated monstrosities living within city limits. And the authorities know about it, and they're cool with it, I guess? Whatever. The performances. This one's a sticking point a little bit. I typically don't blame the individual performers, for cringe. It's almost 1,000% always the fault of shitty writing when you get that. Unless there's one performance so out of place that you know one of the actors just wasn't up to the job. And that's the case with one, but I'll get to her in a minute. The characters on whole are A to Z unfucking likable. If you find somebody on the show who you enjoyed as a character, shoot me a message, let me know in the comments below. I didn't like anybody. The teens are mean-spirited, rude, disrespectful, miserable twat waffles that are overly hostile to literally everybody they come across unprovoked. It's fucking atrocious. Neither of them allow for any sort of empathy building at all. Wesker is a fraud as a character who, for the smartest guy in the room, makes about 1 trillion dumbass decisions. Now his boss though, this is a special mention of how fucking awful the writing is, because the actress has been in some fairly high profile dramas, I believe, and is fairly well acclaimed. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. But in this particular show, she's the CEO of Umbrella, and is also the most one-dimensional, over-the-top Saturday morning cartoon villain I've seen in God knows how long. Her son in the show, and complete beta love interest of Jade Wesker as a teen, is the least sufferable of a lot of characters, and I'm guessing because of this is why his mother shoots him later. But more on that. In the 2030s timeline, the main lead is Jade Wesker, living in a world post-viral apocalypse. And in this particular world, they specifically mention verbatim that COVID is worse than the T-virus. And they know this after they see the effects in the present day line of the T-virus on humans. Yeah, this shit wasn't written in 2020 at all. Fucking awful. But yeah, back to Jade. She has no discernible flaws whatsoever in the show. She sustains injuries and just fucking shrugs them off like she's Wonder Woman. She makes terrible decisions, doesn't suffer any meaningful consequences, and that includes when her dumbass decisions lead to death. And that includes the death of a pregnant person who also happened to be her research partner. So yeah, dude, fuck Jade Wesker. The character's awful. And here's a couple of things that just kind of raised an eyebrow for me in the show. You can tell this bullshit was written in and around 2020. I hate ringing the woke bell alarm, but holy hell, the show is woke. It has it in spades, and it's not even worth arguing about it. Every position of authority in the show is held by a woman, all of them, across the board. And I know some of the ADU that watch this bullshit are going to mention the lead researcher on Jade's naval lab being the boss, but yeah, no, he deferred to her at every opportunity. It's cringe to see it. This includes, too, each of the captains of Umbrella's uniform security being female. Like, all the grunts are all dudes, but literally in every scene that has a speaking role for, like, one of their captains of a squad, all female. Even the zombie Jade identifies as being an alpha that can control the other zombies is also a female. You get 4 dudes on the show, 4 white dudes on the show, all of them bit roles to one degree or another, and while they do vary on the protagonist-antagonist spectrum, they're all incompetent, douchey, cringy, and they all meet horrible fucking deaths. 2 of them do get a semi-hero sequence before they go out, but when they do, they're completely undermined and tossed aside. And this brings me to the biggest eyebrow archer in terms of just story development. I'm going to spoil the fuck out of this because none of you are going to watch this show anyway. But in the final episode, the CEO of Umbrella learns that her son's been bitten by infected Billy Wesker. That's Jade's twin sister. This cold-hearted bitch shoots him in the face despite genius scientist Albert Wesker being there with assurances he can help him, and while Billy Wesker is standing there beside it. Like, was this a 23rd trimester abortion? Was there some subliminal messaging here? She has no remorse about doing it. She just hauls off and blasts him. No goodbyes, no sweet words, nothing. Like, how would it not have been a better scene to shoot fucking Billy, who ostensibly murdered your son, and then make a poignant of mice and men type decision to embrace your son, hold him, apologize for being the awful parent you were, assure him everything's gonna be okay, and shoot him while he doesn't see it coming. Like, Jesus Christ, it's like this show was written by a 7th grader with no understanding of like how drama and storytelling work. It's fucking embarrassing. But here's something that jumped out at me also, is you just tend to notice these things when you've been conditioned to look for them. There's 3 scenes in the show's run that contain partial nudity. One of them is Jade as an adult in the shower after she's back from the research mission. Both shots of her in the shower are from the calves down or from the shoulders up, and there's nothing sexualized about it at all, which is fine. The scene didn't call for it. The other 2 scenes, however, feature 2 males. Both feature fit shirtless dude with extended shots of them on screen. And one of them's the teenager that is interested in one of the twin girls. Awkward isn't the word that covers it all, but that's the best I got for you. Can you imagine if they had some lingering shot of some 17-year-old girl in one of these shows? Like, not topless or anything super creepy like that, but just in a revealing outfit of some sort. I don't mean like a passing image of a girl as she's like walking down a hallway. Like, they hung on this kid for a solid 15 seconds, like, and then went and had conversation with him. Twitter would have nuked itself in outrage if they had a girl dressed up like that. The show also made a really awkward point of making sure they snuck in at least one reference to Pornhub or jerking off, or references to the sexual attractiveness of the 2 female teen leads in every episode they appeared. Like, it was something you could set your watch by for at least through the first 4 or 5 episodes. And one joke in particular was super fucking cringe. Paraphrased, it was like, dude, my sister's hot, but she's not felony hot. And that was when I threw up in my mouth a little bit, because it was fucking god awful just to even hear it said out loud. There's nothing redeeming about this shit at all, guys. I wouldn't bother going to watch it. There's other stuff to do with your time. You know, they do tease a season 2 with Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy. Oh, no, I'm just playing. They skipped those guys completely. Like, they had nothing to do with Resident Evil, and go straight to name dropping Ada Wong as the teaser character for season 2. This show has no respect for the IP. Not the games that spawned decades ago with millions of fans. Hell, they don't even respect the movies, which at their worst were at least decent action roms that you could get through and enjoy. This show can fuck right off. Fuck off completely. Never going back to check this out again. As for me, guys, I'm gonna take off. It's hot as balls here in the Winter Wolf's Den. I gotta sort out what I'm gonna bring to your attention next in a review, and I'll get back to you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by, guys.